The void of space was a canvas of inky darkness, punctuated only by distant stars and the cold, unfeeling glow of the alien scout ship. Commander Vareke, a veteran of countless missions, peered through the observation screen with a mix of caution and curiosity. Their sensors had detected an unidentified vessel, and it was unlike anything he had ever seen. Sleek, angular, and exuding an air of quiet menace, the ship was unmistakably human. "Commander, the craft is approaching," hissed First Officer Talanair, his tone laced with unease. The crew, seasoned warriors of the Kthar Collective, exchanged nervous glances. Humans were a mystery. Rumors of their tenacity and unpredictability had spread across the galaxy, but few had encountered them directly. "Maintain defensive posture," Vareke ordered, his voice steady despite the tension gripping the bridge. The alien ship's weapons powered up, ready to unleash destruction at a moment's notice. Vareke's compound eyes narrowed as he studied the human vessel, searching for any sign of hostility. Inside the human ship, Captain Elias Hunter sat in his command chair, his gaze fixed on the alien craft. He'd been on countless exploratory missions, but this was different. First contact with a species known for their militaristic nature wasn't something to be taken lightly. His hand hovered over the console, ready to issue orders. "Captain, they've powered up their weapons," reported Lieutenant Mara Wells, her voice tinged with concern. The tension was palpable, each crew member acutely aware that a single mistake could spark a conflict either side wanted. Elias took a deep breath, his mind racing through the possible scenarios. "Prepare a transmission," he said calmly. "Let's show them we're not a threat." The crew moved with practiced efficiency, their trust in their captain evident. The human ship emitted a pulse of light, a communication signal, carefully calibrated to be as non-threatening as possible. On the alien bridge, Vareke watched the display with a mixture of suspicion and intrigue. He recognized the signal as an attempt at communication, but the unfamiliar pattern set him on edge. "What are they doing?" Talanair muttered, his claws tapping nervously against the console. The crew waited, the seconds stretching into an eternity, as they anticipated the human's next move. "They're trying to communicate," Vareke said slowly, his mind working to decode the message. He knew this was a pivotal moment, a chance to understand a species that could either be an ally or a deadly enemy. "Hold fire," he ordered, his voice firm. In the silence that followed, Elias sent another signal, this time a universal distress call, a gamble that the aliens would recognize it as a plea for dialogue rather than aggression. The crew held their breath, watching the alien ship for any sign of response. Vareke's eyes widened as the distress call registered. It was a bold move, one that spoke of a desire for peace rather than conflict. For a moment, doubt flickered in his mind. Could the humans truly be seeking communication rather than conquest? He hesitated, the weight of his decision pressing down on him. "Commander?" Talanair's voice was a mix of confusion and urgency. Vareke raised a clawed hand, signaling silence. "Respond," he ordered. The bridge fell into a tense quiet as the alien ship sent a reply, the words carefully chosen to neither provoke nor reveal too much. Elias watched as the alien ship's lights flickered, indicating a response. The moment of truth had arrived. Whether this encounter would end in bloodshed or cooperation hinged on the next few seconds. The alien message appeared on the screen, translated into rough English. "Who are you, and why have you entered our space?" Elias leaned forward, a faint smile tugging at the corner of his lips. "Send a reply," he instructed. "Let's show them who we really are." As the message was prepared, the tension on both sides reached a peak, teetering on the edge of war and peace. The next move would determine the fate of both crews and perhaps the future of their species. The chapter closes with the fate of the encounter hanging in the balance, leaving the reader eager to discover what happens next. The introduction of the main characters and the central conflict sets the stage for a story filled with tension, diplomacy, and the potential for understanding between two very different species. Elias Hunter's eyes were glued to the monitor as the alien response flickered across the screen. The translated message was clear yet laden with caution. We are the Kthar. State your intentions, human. The atmosphere on the bridge was electric, tension winding tighter with each passing second. Captain, they're waiting for our reply, Lieutenant Marowell said, her voice steady despite the uncertainty that hung in the air. The crew's eyes were on Elias, waiting for his decision. This moment could define the relationship between humanity and a species known only through fearsome rumors. Elias leaned back, his mind racing. He knew he had to choose his words carefully. One wrong move, and they could find themselves in an all-out war. Transmit our message, he said, his voice carrying the weight of the responsibility he bore. Let them know we're explorers, seeking knowledge and peace. The transmission was sent, a simple yet profound statement of intent. The crew waited, the silence broken only by the faint hum of the ship's systems. It was a delicate dance. One wrong step could lead to disaster, but Elias was determined to prove that humanity was more than the warlike species the galaxy believed them to be. On the Kthar ship, Commander Vareke's eyes narrowed as the human message appeared. The words were unexpectedly disarming, not the aggressive posturing he had anticipated. The humans claimed to be explorers, peaceful by nature, a stark contrast to the Kthar's militaristic society. Vareke's mind churned with thoughts. Could this be a trick? Or was there truth in their claim? They say they seek knowledge and peace, Vareke murmured, more to himself than to his crew. His second-in-command, Talanaar, looked at him skeptically. Humans? Peaceful? Talanaar's mandibles clicked in disbelief. They are known for their fierce nature. This could be a ploy, Commander. Vareke considered Talanaar's words carefully. Trusting these humans might be foolish, but dismissing them outright could be a greater mistake. Send a reply, Vareke ordered. We will meet them, but under our terms. We must understand their true intentions. The response from the Kthar ship was prompt and precise. We agree to a meeting. But know this, human, any sign of treachery, and we will not hesitate to strike. The message hung in the air, a clear warning that the Kthar were not to be trifled with. Elias's brow furrowed as he read it, understanding the gravity of the situation. There was no room for error. Prepare a shuttle, Elias commanded. We'll meet them face to face. This is our chance to show them who we are. As the crew prepared for the encounter, the tension on the human ship was palpable. The prospect of entering an alien vessel, one belonging to a species as enigmatic and potentially hostile as the Kthar, was daunting. But Elias knew the importance of this meeting. It wasn't just about survival. It was about showing that humanity had more to offer the galaxy than just its military might. Elias chose his team carefully, selecting only those he trusted implicitly. As they boarded the shuttle, the weight of their mission bore down on them, each step heavy with the significance of what lay ahead. The shuttle's engines hummed softly as they approached the Kthar ship, the vast alien vessel looming ominously before them. Inside, the atmosphere was thick with anticipation, each crew member acutely aware that their actions in the next few moments could determine the fate of their entire species. The shuttle docked, and the hatch hissed open. Elias stepped forward, his heart pounding in his chest. The Kthar delegation stood waiting, their imposing figures a stark contrast to the humans' smaller, more agile forms. Vareke's gaze locked onto Elias, a silent challenge in his eyes. The air was charged with tension, the outcome of this meeting hanging precariously in the balance. Elias took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was to come. Commander Vareke, Elias said, extending a hand in a gesture of goodwill. I'm Captain Elias Hunter. We come in peace. Vareke eyed the outstretched hand warily, his instincts screaming caution. But after a moment's hesitation, he grasped it firmly, the two leaders' eyes meeting in a moment of mutual understanding. For the first time, a fragile bridge had been built between the two species. But whether it would lead to peace or conflict remained to be seen. The chapter ends with the first face-to-face meeting between the humans and the Kthar, setting the stage for further developments. The tension is carefully maintained throughout, keeping the reader engaged and eager to see how the story will unfold. The introduction of Vareke and the deepening of the conflict between trust and caution adds layers to the narrative, hinting at the complexities that will drive the plot forward. The cold, sterile air of the Cthar ship greeted Captain Elias Hunter and his team as they stepped off the shuttle. The metallic clang of their boots echoed ominously in the vast, dimly lit corridor. Each member of the human delegation was acutely aware of the weight of their mission. The Cthar's imposing presence only heightened their unease, but they were determined not to show it. Commander Vareke led the way, his towering form casting long shadows against the sleek walls. Elias kept pace, his mind sharp, scanning every detail of the alien ship. The corridor seemed to stretch endlessly, a labyrinth designed to disorient, yet Elias remained focused. The silence between the two groups was heavy, filled with unspoken suspicions. Vareke finally halted before a large door, its surface etched with intricate symbols that pulsed faintly with energy. With a swift motion, he placed his clawed hand on the control panel, and the door slid open, revealing a grand chamber within. The room was filled with advanced technology that hummed with a low, almost melodic vibration. In the center stood a circular table, surrounded by a ring of alien symbols that glowed softly in the dim light. Vareke gestured for the humans to sit. Elias exchanged a glance with Lieutenant Wells before taking a seat. The tension in the room was palpable, but Elias kept his expression neutral, determined to project an air of calm authority. "We are here to discuss terms," Vareke began, his voice a deep, resonant growl that reverberated through the chamber. "You claim to seek peace, yet the history of your kind suggests otherwise. Why should we trust you?" Elias leaned forward, meeting Vareke's gaze directly. "Trust is not given, it's earned," he replied evenly. "We understand that humanity's past is filled with conflict, but we've learned from our mistakes. We're not here to conquer or exploit. We're here because we believe in the possibility of cooperation." Vareke's eyes narrowed, his skepticism evident. "Words are easy, Captain. But actions speak louder. What proof can you offer that your intentions are genuine?" Before Elias could respond, the chamber lights flickered, and a low rumble shook the room. The humans tensed, instinctively reaching for their weapons, but Vareke held up a hand to stop them. "Stay calm," he commanded, his tone brooking no argument. He tapped into a console embedded in the table, bringing up a holographic display. The image showed a section of the Cthar ship, where a massive energy spike was rapidly approaching critical levels. "What's happening?" Elias asked, his voice tight with concern. Vareke's expression was grim. "A malfunction in our power core. If it's not contained, it could cause catastrophic damage to the ship, and to everyone on board." Elias's mind raced. This was more than a malfunction, it was an opportunity. "We can help," he offered, his voice firm. "Our engineers are skilled in energy systems. Let us assist in stabilizing the core." Talanear, Vareke's second-in-command, hissed in disbelief. "You expect us to allow humans to interfere with our most vital systems? This could be a ploy to sabotage our ship." Elias shook his head, his gaze unwavering. "You brought us here under a banner of diplomacy. Let us prove that our intentions are true. If we succeed, it will be the first step toward building trust between our species." Vareke studied Elias for a long moment, weighing his options. The stakes were high, too high to ignore the offer, yet trusting the humans could be a fatal mistake. But the power core's instability left little choice. "Very well," Vareke said finally, his voice low and tense. "But know this, Captain, if you betray us, there will be no escape." Elias nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. "We won't let you down." The chapter ends with Elias and his team poised to take on the daunting task of stabilizing the Cthar ship's power core, a high-stakes situation that could either cement or shatter the fragile trust between the two species. The rising tension and the looming threat create a gripping narrative, setting the stage for the climactic events to follow. The atmosphere in the power core chamber was thick with tension, every breath charged with the crackling energy that pulsed ominously through the air. Captain Elias Hunter stood beside Chief Engineer Marks, both intently focused on the Cthar technology before them. The alien power core loomed large and unfamiliar, its surface a swirling mass of energy fields and complex circuitry. A single misstep could lead to catastrophic failure. Varike and his second-in-command, Tal'Anar, watched closely from a distance, their eyes filled with a mix of wariness and curiosity. They had permitted the humans to take the lead, but their suspicion remained palpable. Elias knew that their every action was being scrutinized, and the slightest error could shatter the fragile trust they had built. "All right, Marks," Elias said, his voice low but steady. "You've got this. Just like we practiced with the simulations." Marks nodded, his face set with determination. "This system's got some similarities to our fusion reactors back home. I think I've pinpointed the instability. It's a cascade failure in their primary containment field. Can you stabilize it?" Elias asked, his tone urgent but controlled. Marks glanced at the readings, then back at the captain. "I'm going to need Varike's team to temporarily reroute power from the secondary grid. If we don't, the surge could overload the system before I can make the adjustments." Elias turned to Varike. "We need your assistance. Redirect the power flow, and we can stabilize the core." Varike's eyes narrowed in suspicion, but he gave a sharp nod. "Tal'Anar, execute the power reroute as instructed." Tal'Anar hesitated, clearly uncomfortable with following human orders, but he complied. His clawed hands danced over the controls, and the chamber lights flickered as the energy flows shifted. "Power rerouted," Tal'Anar announced, his voice tinged with tension. Marks immediately went to work, his hands moving with practiced precision as he recalibrated the containment field. The core's hum grew louder, almost deafening, and the energy fields around it began to fluctuate wildly. Come on, Marks muttered under his breath, sweat beading on his forehead. The entire room seemed to hold its breath as the instability reached its peak. Then, with a final adjustment, the readings on the display began to stabilize. The chamber grew quiet, the ominous hum fading into a steady, rhythmic pulse. Marks exhaled sharply, relief washing over him as the danger passed. "It's done," Marks said, stepping back from the console. "The core is stable." Varike approached slowly, his gaze fixed on the now stabilized power core. The skepticism in his eyes softened, replaced by something resembling respect. "You have proven your words with actions, Captain Hunter. It seems there is more to your species than we initially believed." Elias met Varike's gaze with quiet resolve. "We didn't come here to prove anything. We came to build a future where our species can coexist, where trust isn't just a word, but a foundation we can build on." Varike nodded thoughtfully, the tension in the room slowly dissipating. "Trust is earned, not given. Today, you have earned a measure of it. Perhaps this is the beginning of something greater." Tal'Anar stepped forward, his usual hostility tempered by the gravity of the moment. "Your actions saved this ship, and possibly more. We will remember this." Elias extended a hand to Varike, a gesture of goodwill that carried immense significance. Varike hesitated for a brief moment before clasping Elias's hand with his own. As the two leaders stood together, their hands joined in a symbol of newfound trust, the chapter draws to a close with a sense of cautious optimism. The immediate crisis had been averted, but the path ahead remained uncertain. Yet, in that moment, a bridge had been built between two vastly different species, a bridge that could one day lead to true alliance and understanding. With this, the story concludes on a hopeful note, the potential for cooperation and mutual respect shining through the darkness of mistrust, setting the stage for future endeavors between humanity and the Kthar.